Hey everyone, this is Rich. It's Friday night, that means it's another edition of Cheap Red Wine. This is the show in which I drink a sip of cheap red wine and tell a story, or talk about something. So I'm still working through the Rex Goliath bottle. Here we go. Very good. I have a couple different things I want to talk about tonight. And I hope it doesn't bother anybody or upset anybody that I'm going to combine two themes tonight. But two things came to mind that I wanted to talk about, and personally I didn't really think that the subjects of these two themes would mind if I combined them. First of all, as you can hear, I'm listening to Pac-Man Fever by Buckner and Garcia. I'm doing that to celebrate Pac-Man's 30th birthday. Pac-Man turned 30 today. I don't know how old Miss Pac-Man is. I think she might be about 28 or so. I'm not sure. So, happy birthday, Pac-Man. I don't really have a whole lot to say about Pac-Man. I used to play it a bit. I occasionally played Miss Pac-Man too. There's some really bad photos of me playing Miss Pac-Man in a restaurant in Nashville at some tourist trap in 1982. So, there you go. Happy birthday, Pac-Man. In addition, the heavy metal world, as you know, to get serious for a minute, suffered a loss this week with the death of Ronnie James Dio, who was a lead singer throughout his career with various bands, including Elf, Rainbow, Black Sabbath, and Heaven and Hell, and of course his own self-named band Dio. And I don't really know much about Dio's music, but I really have grown in the past few years to enjoy Dio's presence. I discovered that he had a pretty great sense of humor about himself, and showed up on South Park. He hung out with Tenacious D. Most notably for me, he sang backup on Pat Boone's cover of the Dio song Holy Diver on the Pat Boone album No More Mr. Nice Guy, which I thought was really cool and very funny. And looking through comments that were made about Mr. Dio on the New York Times website this week, it was very obvious that he's very respected and loved in the music world, in this, particularly in the metal world, of course. But just everybody talked about what a nice man he was and how well respected he was in the metal community. And I think that's very cool. I honestly do. But knowing that he had a sense of humor about himself, I didn't think he would mind if I combined the happy birthday greetings for Pac-Man with a tribute to Ronnie James Dio. And truth be told, I interviewed Pac-Man back in my college journalism days. I interviewed Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man. Was a joint interview for the Temple News. And they both confided to me that they really enjoyed Dio's work. They particularly enjoyed gobbling up Monsters and Ghosts to the Holy Diver and Last in Line albums. So, I mean, ultimately, there is a connection between Dio and Pac-Man. It was just a matter of finding it. And I found it in my back pages of the Temple News, 1988. So, there you go. Now, to honor Ronnie James Dio, I've written a little poem about his life and his work, and I'd like to read it to you now. It's called Ode to Dio. Born in New Hampshire in 1942, Ronnie James Dio had things to do. Got his start in a band named Elf, and eventually had a band named after himself. Dio sang for Blackmore's Rainbow, then joined Sabbath when Ozzy had to go. Together, they recorded Wishing Well, a track from their album Heaven and Hell. Then Dio went out and formed his own band, and Vinny and Jimmy and Viv lent a hand. They made Holy Diver and Last in Line, and metal fans thought those albums were fine. When his music was treated with scorn, Dio threw critics the devil horns. And now we've lost Devo, And now we've lost Dio, but we'll remember him well. From Elf to Rainbow to Heaven and Hell. Ronnie James Dio, we salute you here at Cheap Red Wine. And we know that millions and millions of metal fans around the world salute you as well. And have been edified by the music you've created with all the different bands you've been in. So, Ronnie James Dio, thanks for your music. And to the rest of you all, thanks for your support.